Hi, welcome to lesson 5 in my little synopsis look at tabla strokes and how to make a sound on the drums. You notice that I'm standing up in this lesson. It's really important that as a modern percussionist you find ways to integrate any instrument that you play into your setup, and for me it's very practical to have tabla on a table playing and bring in other percussion instruments and other things around me. It does create some problems in that sometimes the rings on the table slip, and so there are a few ways around that problem. One of the ways around that is to you can gaffer tape the rings to the table and then cover it in a cloth, or find some sort of way to stop the drums slipping around on the table, because it's much more harder to control the drums with your legs when you're not sitting cross-legged. Now we're going to move on today to a composition called a Rella. Now Rella basically equates to, it kind of means rail in Hindi, and is a fast rolling sort of composition that you'll hear particularly with staccato notes on the gab, on the black spot. Similar to this, very fast sort of rolling, densely packed notes on the drum. So we're going to start to look at a Rella composition. The first thing it will raise is the concept of notes and syllables. And one of the familiar problems when one is starting to learn the tabla is that it soon becomes apparent that there are lots of ambiguous syllables that mean more than one stroke. So for example, we've learnt this stroke as the na stroke. This can also be called ta. Similarly, there's the din stroke that we've learnt so far that was the open tun and ge. But there's another din stroke which is played on the inner ring, similar to na, but a little bit more bass end frequencies in there, as opposed to the na. So we have this stroke, which is called tin, T-I-N, with the bass drum, ge, open stroke. You have a syllable called din. Now we're going to be looking at that a little bit later, but just in summary regarding the ambiguity of the syllables, because it does confuse a lot of people, and they kind of say, well, why is there not a specific set of syllables? And I always say it's very similar to, you know, if you're starting out learning the English language, for example, and if I was just to say the word through, that without a context you wouldn't know whether it was through the window or through the ball. But as soon as you've got a context, you're going to know exactly what that word is. And similarly with the tabla, strokes become obvious once they're context related. So once it's within a context, within a composition, it becomes pretty obvious which stroke is which. There are numerous ambiguous tabla strokes, and as you get further into the instrument, you would start to come across a lot of them. Now we're going to have another one now involving the te stroke that we've looked at so far. So before we had te, 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 3, 1, 3, 1. Now, what we're going to have is a new syllable for the one-fingered te, just for the context of this Rella, and also numerous other Rellas, but in this context alone, and it's re, R-E, te, re, te, re, te, re. And the reason for this particular syllable being changed is that when you start to speak and play faster, then it rolls off the tongue much quicker. And so it becomes much more easier to use and employ instead of te, which is very difficult to say fast. So we're going to have a basic Rella, and we're only going to be using the closed strokes on the left hand, and the various strokes that we know already on the right hand. So the first line of the theme is like this. Te, re, ke, te, ta, ka, ta, ka. 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 Te, re, ke, te, taka, taka. Te, re, ke, te, taka, taka. So one problem that immediately arises from this is that after te, re, ke, te, you've ended here on the three-fingered te. Now you've got to come to this position with the fingers resting here for the ta stroke. Now, there's another ambiguity there that we've had. That was na before. For the context of this composition, this is also going to be ta. So one of the things to practice to get this smooth, te, na. Three-fingered te, rim, na. And you have to do it without getting any squeaking or different sort of strange sounds coming out of the drum. So this is pretty much the whole meat of the Rella, and it's really good, as I've said in many of the lessons, to be very precise and to be practicing this at a slow tempo and not worry about speed for now. Te, re, ke, te, ta, ka, ta, ka. Te, re, ke, te, ta, ka, ta, ka. Now the second line, ta, ka, te, re, ke, te, ta, ka. Ta, ka, te, re, ke, te, ta, ka. Taka te reke te taka, taka te reke te taka. So like I say, this is leading towards a composition called a Rella, which is rail, very fast drum roll type composition. So if we look at the whole theme, we have this. Te, re, ke, te, ta, ka, ta, ka, ta, ka. Te, re, ke, te, ta, ka. Te, re, ke, te, ta, ka, ta, ka, ta, ka. Te, re, ke, te, ta, ka. Te, re, ke, te, taka, taka, taka. Te, re, ke, te, taka. Terekete taka 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 terekete taka. So you can see it's really important also to be able to speak it and play it. You really begin to internalise how the syllables and the strokes fit together. Terekete taka 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 terekete taka terekete taka 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 terekete taka. So you can begin to see that it's really like that rail, like that train. The same thing a little bit faster. Again, all of the elements of this Rella, it's again theme and variation. So all the variations are based on exact syllables that we find in the theme. So variation 1. Te re ke te taka taka te re ke te taka taka te re ke te taka 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 te re ke te taka te re ke te taka taka te re ke te taka taka te re ke te taka 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 te re ke te taka. So you can see as well, everything's very clear. All the notes are very clear and coming out, you know, very staccato and accurately. See, you don't want... It's not going to happen. So really concentrate on the very clear strokes, and that will only be really achieved successfully at a slow tempo. Variation 2. Te 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 ke te taka taka te re ke te taka te 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 ke te taka taka te re ke te taka. Again, working at the very, very sharp definition of every single individual stroke. Example 3 is 3-3-2 to begin with. The 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Te re ke te taka, te re ke te taka. With all of these components that we find in these compositions, you can easily strip them all out and have little individual things to practice and you know, build up your repertoire. As we see with what we've learned already so far, all the little components fit together, 3-3-2, 3-2-3, 2-3-3, whatever sort of configurations are there to put together to come up with different variations on the theme. So, variation 3. So this is divided 3-3-2. Let's look at the 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Te re ke te taka, te re ke te taka. So we have 3-3-2. All of these little units, as within all the other kaidas and things that we've looked at so far, can be taken out and practiced in isolation as separate little things as well. immediately begin to see how all of these things have been put together with the themes and the variations, and how little different length segments of the variations have been compiled and composed and juxtaposed to make a nice flow of interesting rhythm changes. So let's look fully at example 3. Te, re, ke, te, ta, ka, 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 1. There we're back to the 1. So that's one cycle of variation 3. Now I'll play it around a few times. Te, re, ke, te, ta, ka, 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 te, re, ke, te, ta, te, re, ke, te, ta, ka, 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 te, re, ke, te, ta, te, re, ke, te, ta, ka, te, re, ke, te, ta, ka, te, re, ke, te, ta, ka. So you can begin to see why it's called a rella, or like a train kind of moving fast. So we're going to look at variation 4. It's quite common now. We're starting to make these compositions a little longer. It's quite common that towards the end they'll have a few compositions or a few variations in there that become simpler, so it's all settled down a little bit before they might play a Tihai to conclude it. So it's very simple. Ta, ka, te, re, ke, te, ta, ka, te, re, ke, te, ta, ka. So going back again, reinforcing the point that the speed only comes after you've got clarity. So if it starts to feel a bit messy when you speed it up, always pull it back down and you know, settle it down before you try and speed up again. The other thing that's really important is to practice with a metronome and really make sure that everything's locked in, comfortable at you know, the tempo that you've got to, and also it's a good way to have some sort of diary of development. So you know, you've got something up to 80 BPM, you know, you'll have that in your diary on January the 3rd or whatever, and then when you look back in 2 years time, January, and you've got up to 120, even though you might not feel that you've developed, you can look back and say, actually, you know, that's quite a lot faster than I was that period of time ago. So we're going to finally wind this composition up with a short Tihai, and it will be like this. Te re ke te taka 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 te re ke te taka da. Te re ke te taka 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 te re ke te taka da. Te re ke te taka 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 te re ke te taka da. Te re ke te taka 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 te re ke te taka da. Te re ke te taka 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 te re ke te taka da. 2, 3, 4. Te re ke te taka 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 te re ke te taka da. Te re ke te taka 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 te re ke te taka da. 2, 3, 4. Te re ke te taka 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 te re ke te taka da. 2, 3, 4. Finishing on the 1. So we're going to move on to some other rhythms. Now, you remember at the beginning of the lesson, we were looking at the tin stroke. Now, we're going to focus in on this stroke now. It's kind of similar to the tun stroke in some aspects, in that you have, you know, it's got some bass end frequencies in there. Now, it's very different than the na stroke on the rim. That's the sharp na stroke, and the tin stroke. Now, if I was to do two of each, for example, you'll really hear the difference. You can hear that it's got a lot of bass frequencies and is really quite a warm sound in comparison to the very sharp staccato na sound on the rim. Now, these two sounds are really the cornerstone of groove playing in all of tabla, both classically and within the folk idiom, just by using these two sounds. For example, let's look at the main time cycle from North India, 16-beat time cycle called Tintal, and it's like this, using these two strokes. Now, the main body of the rhythm is coming from that, two strokes on each sound, on the na, on the tin, but it's offset by one note. So it's on, off, off, on, off, on. So we're getting an off the beat type of thing, and that's one of the things that's very important listening to Indian rhythm and Indian grooves, is that one will hear 1, 2, 3, 4. You're hearing it on the beat, whereas it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's off the beat. So if you hear it in the wrong place, everything sounds even more complicated than it actually is. And when you do get deeply into Indian rhythm, tabla playing, and Carnatic music from the south of India as well, it's all very, very complicated rhythmically and interesting. So the main time cycle, Tintal, is derived from those strokes. That's the root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We can see there we've got the tali-kali structure in, which you'll hear much more easily if I play that slightly faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So using these notes, we're going to look at some simple ways to play some grooves. Of course, you could begin to sort of do any sort of combinations between the two sounds, but we're going to look at we'll finish off today with one simple one. We're just going to have 1 on the na and then 3 on the tin. Na, tin, 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 na, tin, tin, tin. So now we're going to add some bass drum notes with the open ge sound on that. We'll have da, tin, 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 na, din, din, tin. Da, tin, 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 na, din, din, tin. It's really important when you're playing the grooves to get a nice woody sound from the na stroke. So that's all for today. We're going to come back next time, and we're going to have the Delicida. So get ready for the Delicida. Drop me an email over at my website, petelockett.com, and I'll see you next time.